If the verb is pensar, why do we say yo pienso instead of yo penso? That's because it's an irregular verb in Spanish, and yes, they can be so frustrating for students, but they are not as difficult as you think. I'm going to show you 3 different types of irregular verbs, how to conjugate them, everything. And yes, of course, the most useful verbs that you are going to need in everyday conversations. So let's get started. First things first, let's just remember irregular verbs are all the ones that don't follow the same pattern as regular verbs, right? Which pattern is that? You know it, the usual, just changing the ending of the verb, right? Like the verb caminar. Yo camino, tú caminas, él camina, nosotros caminamos, bueno, etc., etc., etc. Irregular verbs don't work like that, okay? They do change the ending of the verb, but also something else too. And I know they can drive you mad, right? Why make things even more confusing? In English, it's easier. I play, you play, we play. The verb stays the same. But in Spanish, you're going to need to learn this, okay? First, let's start with the first type of irregular verbs, the ones with a stem change, okay? And what is a stem change? It means that on top of changing the ending of the verb, you will also change the start of it. For example, the verb pensar, the verb think in Spanish, to think. When conjugating this verb, you will change that first E for IE. Then you will conjugate it like a regular verb that ends in AR, okay? Very simple. So we'll have yo pienso, tú piensas, él piensa, nosotros pensamos y ustedes piensan, okay? As easy as that. And hey, did you notice that? Nosotros pensamos, not piensamos, alright? No, I didn't make a mistake. Irregular verbs with a stem change actually don't change it when using the pronoun nosotros. What other useful verbs change in the same way? Okay? The verb querer changes to yo quiero. It means I want. See how the E turns into an IE? Beautiful, right? This also happens with verbs like entender and empezar. Very easy, you can see it here. This would change to yo entiendo and yo empiezo. They mean I understand and I begin. But is that all? No, of course not. There are more stem changes, okay? There are verbs that change the O at the start for an UE. Which ones? Well, the verb poder, for example, that's can in English. And like a regular verb ending in ER, the ending also changes in the usual way. If we combine both changes, we have, look at this. Yo puedo, tú puedes, nosotros podemos, ustedes pueden, right? And again, do you see how the stem doesn't change with the pronoun nosotros? Great. And here we have a few more that you should know. The verbs dormir, cantar, and encontrar. They would change, for example, to yo duermo, yo cuento, yo encuentro. I sleep, I count, I find. See? Each time the O changes to UE. Easy. Now we have to see one more stem change, okay? Next, we have verbs that change at the start from the letter E to a letter I. And let's see how that looks with the verb pedir, to ask for. We're going to change the E to an I. And then change the ending like a regular verb that ends in IR. So after those changes, it would look like this. Yo pido, tú pides, él pide, nosotros pedimos, you know this. And what other verbs change in the same way? Look at this. The most important ones you should know are servir, seguir, and repetir. They would turn into yo sirvo, yo sigo, yo repito, right? Easy. I serve, I follow, I repeat. Look, every time the E changes to an I. That's it. Got it? Awesome. Because we still have 2 more types of irregular verbs. Fantastic. This one is a little easier, okay? Look at this. The next type of irregular verb changes the conjugation only in the first person. That means yo or I in English, first person, yo. The most useful ones you should know is the verb hacer. The verb hacer, to do, is conjugated like a regular verb that ends in er, except for the first person. When using the pronoun yo, it's not yo hago. No, it's yo hago. See? Yo hago. Beautiful. The rest doesn't have to change, just the ending. So it's something like this. Tú haces, él hace, nosotros hacemos, ustedes hacen, but yo hago. And in this case, there's no formula. You just have to learn and I guess memorize this change. I know. I'm sorry. And there's no cheat code for this one. There's a lot of practice and patience, and I promise you won't forget it. And this happens with other really, really important verbs. I'm talking about salir, saber, and ver. I mean, kind of important. Salir, to go out, would be yo salgo. Saber, to know, is yo sé, with that accent mark. And finally, yo veo is I see. Got it? It changes just for the first person, okay? Just when you're talking about yourself. And now, guys, we have only one type of irregular verb left. Only one kind left, and it's super interesting, okay? The final type of irregular verb is, well, it's completely irregular kind. This type of verbs follow no pattern, okay? They break all the rules. They're wild like me. Well, okay, maybe that's a little bit too crazy. I follow the rules, I promise. In fact, some of them just combine the two previous patterns, the stem and first person change. Now, don't panic. I will show them to you. We'll see them one by one, okay? Let's start with an obvious one. This is one you will use every day. Probably you're tired of it. It's the verb ser, the verb to be, right? Notice how different it looks in each case. Yo soy, tú eres, él es, or ella es, nosotros somos, o nosotros somos, ustedes son. See? There's no rule, no pattern. You just have to memorize it, okay? I guess. Get used to it. And the same thing happens with the other verb to be in Spanish. The verb estar. The other verb to be? You know that. Yeah, I said the other verb to be. Of course. I mean, you should know this by now. You should be like, oh no, Juan, that's too easy for me. Okay. If that's confusing to you, just check out my videos explaining the difference between ser and estar. Go watch it now and come back. Okay? It's not complicated, I promise. And if you're ready to conjugate the verb estar, look at this. It would be yo estoy, tú estás, él o ella está, nosotros o nosotras estamos, ustedes están. Got it? Then let's do two more, okay? Let's do the verb ir, to go, which is an irregular verb, all right? It's very regular. Just take a look at this. Yo voy, tú vas, él va, nosotros vamos, ustedes van. Beautiful. None of these words even look like the word ir. I know. And yet, yes, that's exactly how it is conjugated, at least in the simple present, right? Last but not least, the final one, the last irregular verb I want to teach you how to conjugate today is the verb decir. This one perfectly combines the other two types of irregular verbs, okay? We're going to change the stem from I to I. And we're going to have a bigger change just for the first person. We would have something like this. Yo digo, tú dices, él dice, nosotros decimos, ustedes dicen. Hey, beautiful. The first person is completely different. First person here, it's yo digo. And with the rest, we change the stem. So instead of decir, it's tú dices with an I instead of an I. And no, it doesn't change when we use nosotros. In that case, it's still with an I, decimos. And well, that's pretty much it. That's all you need to know to get started with irregular verbs in Spanish as a beginner. It might seem like a lot, I know, but like I said, constant practice and a lot of patience, and you're using all the verbs like a pro. I believe in you. I think you can master this subject. And of course, if you have questions, please leave it in the comments. I will be right there to answer if you have questions, okay? So if you enjoyed this lesson and if you don't want to miss more useful advice and practical tips to speak Spanish, please like this video, subscribe to our channel, and I'll see you next time. Ciao!